Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
White man came across the sea, he brought us pain.
Helmut, thank you so much for your time today. This is the first time I get to speak to you, and I am super excited because you are the most exceptional name at this year's Graspop Metal Meeting for a number of reasons. But first and foremost, I know you're extremely busy, so thank you so much. You are playing shows right now, so let's just start easy. How are you doing today?
Well, I just got out of bed because it was very late last night, so I took a nap in the afternoon. I was too tired to stay awake.
Yeah.
Run to the hills.
We have to just do a little bit of a background on who is this mysterious person called Helmut Lotti that thousands and thousands of metal fans are wondering about when they saw the announcement for the Graspop Metal Meeting. And at the same time, thousands and thousands of Belgians are like, oh my God, Helmut Lotti's playing Graspop? That's the most amazing news ever. You are not the most traditional heavy metal performer. In fact, you started out as a Belgian pop singer, at one point named the new Elvis Presley of Belgium, if I remember correctly, with Waarom ik en niet een ander, Why Me and Not Someone Else, your hit song in the late 80s, I think, or early 90s.
Waarom ik en niet een ander? Waarom ik die nooit verander?
I had 3 consecutive #1 hits in the Dutch language.
Exactly. Funnily enough, in that particular song that I just mentioned, you say, why me? Because I never changed. But boy, that was not very correct, because you have changed over the years. Most people will know you as Helmut Lotti, the singer of classical music. In 1995, you released your first classic album, which still today is the best sold Belgian album of all time. And I know also, like, growing up in Belgium, as a teenager in the mid-90s, every house would have at least one Helmut Lotti or Lotti Goes Classic albums. So let's just fast forward, because I'm going to come back to that in a second, but let's just fast forward. We're talking today because you're going to be playing Graspop Metal Meeting, and it was a big shock for a lot of people. How did this happen?
Well, I'm actually, how do you call that in English? People see me as a Schlager singer, but I'm really not. I'm really a crooner who likes rock and roll. I'm a big Elvis fan. Is how my career started, with an impersonation in a TV show when I was 19, back in 89, because I'm 53 right now. So I started to sing in Dutch because there was a weekly TV program, a music program in Belgium. So the record company would only give me a contract when I would sing in Dutch. Right. So I did that. I never really liked it, though. Then I switched to English after a couple of years, and then I did the classical stuff, and all of a sudden I was touring. Be mine, please be mine, and I promise you love every day of your life from now on. So this is my image, a crossover singer who does folkloristic music, classical music, African tribal music with a symphony orchestra. I did all kinds of different things. And there is a radio station in Belgium. It's quite new. It's called Radio Willy, and it's a hard rock radio station. And they had the top 1,000, but they're not very well known because they're only on the internet. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to get some popularity with their top 1,000, so they wanted someone to sing a song from the top 1,000 and someone from a completely different genre. So they asked me if I wanted to sing a hard rock song. My manager was against it. He wanted me to sing some Elvis, but the people at Willy didn't want that. So I said, well, which song would you want me to sing? And they said, Run to the Hills, Iron Maiden.
Ik ben Helmut Lotti en dit is mijn nummer 1 voor de Willy 1000.
That was a very nice coincidence because when I was 13, I will never forget it. My parents were divorced, and I hardly saw my father. And one day I was at home. My brother is a metalhead, you know, so he has all these metal records. And one day I had to listen to those records the whole time. And I was standing on the seat. I will never forget it. On the back lean of the seat, when someone rang at the door, and the record "Run to the Hills" was playing, and I was singing on the sofa actually. And my brother, he ran to the front door, opened the front door, and it was my father. Now my father was a singer also.
Okay.
And he came in right at the moment when I was singing. And I jumped off, and then I sang the last two refrains. And my father knew that I could sing. He had before, but always Elvis or Engelbert Humperdinck or something.
Right.
Frozen. He was watching me like, wow, you can really sing. So the first time my father told me I could sing was when he heard me sing "Run to the Hills." And this radio station wanted me to sing "Run to the Hills." So that was too big of a coincidence.
Right.
Present for me. So I decided to do it. And I believe after one day we had 150,000 views, which is a lot in Belgium.
Yeah.
Suddenly I was on metal Facebook pages in Canada, in Denmark, in Germany, in the French-speaking part of Belgium. So it really exploded.
Run to the hills. Run for your life.
People of Graspop, they saw it and they thought, nice. So we decided to put together a program with, well, it's not really metal, you know, it's a mixture between metal and hard rock that I'm going to perform. And very vintage, 70s and 80s repertoire.
Okay. Now, I mean, there's so many things that you say that I want to go into, and we won't have time for everything.
I know.
But I do also remember from more than a few years ago when you were announcing the Classic Albums documentary of the Number of the Beast album. And if I remember correctly, you jump off of a couch there as well. So I guess that was kind of your tribute to that moment as a kid.
Yes, it was a tribute to that moment. And now I do this as a tribute to my father. He passed away 2 years ago, and he would have thought this was beautiful.
Half the world is like, who is this person on a metal festival? And half the other world, I mean, at least people in Belgium going like, oh, wow, what a big change for Helmut Lotti. For you, is it kind of like, not really? This is not much of a bigger change than when I went from singing Elvis to classical.
Well, as I said, I started by singing Elvis. Mm-hmm. Elvis sang O Sole Mio, he sang Torna a Sorrento, he did it in English, Surrender and It's Now or Never. So he did a lot of traditional music, and going from the Dutch language Schlager to English repertoire, and then classical music, Latin American music, African tribal music, pop classics, songs like Bohemian Rhapsody, The Eagles, Hotel California. And then I did an album of my own with kind of, well, even murder ballads in Dutch. Mm-hmm. I wrote myself. But the majority of my repertoire are cover songs, but I also write my own things. This is just something very nice that's going to be added to it.
Right.
And the funniest about all this is that 6 weeks after Graspop, I'm going to do my Helmut Lotti Goes Classic once more. So
Right.
6 years later, I'm standing in front of a castle in Belgium with a symphony orchestra singing classical music again. So that's a nice thing about it. Music to me is like it's playing.
Yeah.
I have fun with it, and the stage is my playground, really.
But come ye back when summer.
What I'm gonna do, it's not metal. It's really hard rock. The biggest hits from the early '70s to even there's one song of the '60s even, which is pre-metal. It's not metal until the end of the '80s.
Yeah.
But to me, the big difference between hard rock and metal, and that's why I call my music that I'm gonna do hard rock, is that the hard rock music basically comes from rock and roll, blues, and American music.
Right.
And metal music is really much more European, and it has a lot more to do with classical music.
Right.
What I really loved about Iron Maiden was the richness of the compositions. You know, a song like "Hallowed Be Thy Name," for instance. If you listen to that guitar solo, I can hear it with a philharmonic orchestra. You know,
Right.
It's that's classical music to me, even though it's a
Right.
guitar playing that. And well, Kiss is rock, and AC/DC, that's blues. I mean, it's
Right.
pumped blues, but to me that's blues. And I like that Lemmy always said we play rock and roll, because
Right.
it was rock and roll. And what I'm gonna do is merely, well, I'm going to sing "Run to the Hills," but the rest is going to be hard rock. It's going to be some Kiss, and I'm going to sing Kiss's disco hit actually. Then I'm going to do "Paradise City," Guns N' Roses, and also "Smoke on the Water," and then Uriah Heep, "Easy Living," stuff like that.
Oh, love it. Yes.
Alice Cooper, some Poison, stuff like that, you know.
I wanna love you, but I better not touch you. I wanna hold you, but my senses tell me just.
I haven't met one metalhead who was not very eclectic.
Yeah.
And who wasn't very open-minded. I know metalheads who are fans of the Beatles.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
My brother likes all kinds of music. He's like, because he's the one who knows about music. I wanted to be a competitive cyclist, but I wasn't fast enough, so I started to sing. But my brother, he's got this huge collection of records. And when I ask him, "Do you know that one? Because someone sent me this link," and then, "Oh yeah, and the singer's name is blah blah, and the guitarist blah blah, but now the guitarist has gone to that band, and their biggest hit was blah blah," and he knows everything. He's like an encyclopedia.
Yeah. No, absolutely. My wife will share those frustrations where she goes like, you know, she can ask me a question like, "Oh, Ronnie James Dio sang for Black Sabbath," and my answer to that cannot just be yes. It has to be 15 minutes about, well, then this happened, and that person happened, and this came in.
And "Love Is All at the Butterfly Ball."
Hey, still one of the greatest songs of all time.
Yes.
Everybody's got to live together. All the people got to understand.
Were you a little nervous before this was being announced? Because stuff like that, these surprises, if you will, let's call it that, they can backfire. But so far, the reactions have seemed to be extremely excited. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't wait to see this." How have you experienced that announcement and the reactions?
People who don't know me won't know that I'm a person. You hate me or you love me, but there's not many people who feel nothing when
Right.
it's one thing or the other. And I like that because I have clear opinions, which is not very typical for a singer with a wide audience. They usually stay quite neutral. My manager sometimes pulls out his hair because I'm so honest. But I got the weirdest reactions when I decided to sing classical music, and then people went like, "He should stay away from classical music.
Right.
He sounds like a goat." But I actually like it when I get reactions like that because
Right.
I told you music to me it's my playground, and I don't
Right.
think there are any rules. I'm a purist when it comes to crooning and swing. Then I can be difficult when it comes to certain types of voices. And when I hear myself sing "Run to the Hills," I think I should probably vibrate a little less. So I'm exercising on my vibrato, that it's not too much, that I can sing flat sometimes, but that's really the only thing that I worry about. And
Right.
whether people like to see me or hear me, yes or no, I couldn't care less. I'm just gonna have a lot of fun.
When you did your first classic album, at that time you probably also didn't think that 20 years later, 20, almost 30 years later, you would still be doing classic albums, and it went so well. So if we just kind of follow that trend, maybe we're just at the start of 30 years of Helmut Lotti goes classic, goes heavy metal and hard rock. So who knows?
Well, this is not a record. It's just one concert.
It's not yet a record.
I would like it if there would be a live vinyl or something.
Yeah.
Well, I did a rock record in Dutch with very harsh lyrics at a point in my career where I was where I was tired of being me.
Right.
Because the press was all over me, and I even wrote a song about that, which my management didn't like very much. But I would really love to make an album like rock opera, something like that.
Yeah.
I would love to make one album, but with new material.
Okay.
That would be very exciting. It's just that I'm not really a composer. I can write a song sometimes, but I'm above all a performer. So I would have to find a team to make an interesting record with me. I have my girlfriend is a writer. She writes children's books, and I'm sure she could come up with a beautiful theme to fill an album.
Yeah.
Something.
You know, there's a whole world of metal operas out there with people composing, and they bring in the best singers for different roles and stuff like that. So, I mean, I feel like right now the seed has been planted, and we're gonna make sure that all these composers watch this interview and know that you are interested in exploring something like that. But first and foremost, Helmut, I look forward to your show. And I do keep my fingers crossed that at some point, whether it's from this show or one of the many metal shows that I know will follow, we can have a live record. At least that would be super cool. Helmut, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you at Graspop.
Thank you, Jasper.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.